Welcome to Keep the Line Moving Extras, where we take things further. Here we dive deeper into leadership, sports, and business. Each week we highlight our weekly guest, providing further insights from their leadership journey. Beyond the usual headlines, we uncover what truly drives success. From strategic thinking to personal growth, to inspiring teams and leading with purpose. Here we go. We are doing something different this week on KTLM Extras. We are following up on a topic we had last week on the show, which was how do you get into the sports world, right? Working in sports as a career. Whether you're a college student, a young professional, we talked in detail about that last week. Well, this week, we're following up, like I said, doing something a little different by bringing on a guest to tell his story. Ethan Greenberg, the team reporter and producer for the New York Jets. We hired Ethan 9 years ago. Let's have him discuss his philosophy as he became a professional. We'll also talk about his thoughts on the Super Bowl, as well as what he likes to eat while watching the Super Bowl. And does he watch it intently or is he having a good time? He will explain. A fun conversation, enlightening conversation with my friend and former colleague, Ethan Greenberg. Ethan, this is such a great time of year, right? You covered the Senior Bowl last week, the Super Bowl's this weekend. We'll get to all that in just a second. You just hired a new coach at the Jets and Aaron Glenn. Exciting times all around for you, Ethan. Let's back up. And you've been on this podcast before. However, let's back up even more. Coming out of Syracuse in 2016, right? You're a 2016 grad, am I right?
That's right.
And you first came to the New York Jets. We hired you. What were your goals back then? Here's why I'm asking this. Not only to get to know Ethan Greenberg, but because last week we talked a little bit about people trying to get into the sports industry. You're a perfect example. You're 30 years old now. Well, you came into the Jets 9 years ago. What were you like back then? How did you interview? Why did we hire you? I don't remember. I can't remember what I had for breakfast. No, I'm just kidding. I remember you as a young professional and our mutual colleague, Eric Allen, and I, getting to know you. Eric brought you to me and he and I talked. It was wonderful. Take us back, Ethan. What were you like?
Yeah, well, so I started as an intern in 2016. And it's interesting because in college, you're told, like, however you get your foot in the door, that's how you should get your foot in the door, right? It's not about doing exactly what you want to do right out of the gate. And I had a background in radio, on camera, and my foot in the door was writing articles. And so that's what I did. And, I didn't really have a background in sports writing, especially sports writing for a team. And for me, Eric Allen talks about it all the time. It's just the growth in my writing alone then to now is exponential. And at the time, it was not only my goal to become really good at that and show that I was a hard, fast worker, could get things done on deadline, making sure that I could put more on my plate. But the other part of it was trying to understand as much as the operation as possible. And I feel like by reaching out to different people in the department, by speaking with them, you really got an understanding of how different people view the department and like what their role is in it. And then it helps me, for example, make decisions now, knowing that I have the background of what the multimedia side, tries to view certain content as, what the social side views certain content as. So it's almost like this matrix in my mind that helps me make decisions. That's not, well, this will just be good for our purposes in editorial. It's good for the whole department because X, Y, Z. And then in terms of the immediate, I tried to really get good at writing and show that I cared about it. And then, then I had an opportunity to do some on-camera work. And once I did that, I never really looked back. And obviously that was my background at Syracuse. I didn't have the opportunity to flex those muscles or show those muscles as an intern. And then as I started to get a little bit more of that on my plate, that's really when I started to blossom. And that's what led to a full-time job. And that's what led to me being here now talking to you 9 years later on the pod.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So what advice would you give somebody who's a senior right now in college What advice would you give them if they wanted to work in the sports industry?
Mhm.
They don't know exactly what they want to do. However, maybe they've done one or two internships. They're starting to get a feel for it.
Right.
But what advice would you give them to close the door? Meaning, like, get in the building and make something happen at an organization.
Yeah. Well, for me, I tell people a lot that, whether it's former Syracuse students or people that reach out, that even though if you're applying to a job and you're not quite sure if it's what you want to do, to me, it's not a bad idea to do it, because it's actually a good idea if it's what allows you, if it's the only option you have. Like, I wouldn't frown upon it, because I remember, I think it was a junior in college or somewhere between sophomore and junior, I was debating if I wanted to go down the PR route or the broadcast and digital journalism route. Those were the two majors. And I was a broadcast journalism major, and I was really struggling, like, oh, do I want to do something more in PR? And, I stuck with broadcast, and I had an internship over the summer as in PR at a comedy club in Manhattan. And I hated it. I did not like it one bit. And I thought that maybe I would have. But
wait a minute, what did you not like about it? Or you're probably going to say that, but I'm getting very eager. I'm the voice of the fan right now, and the fan is saying, "Why didn't you like that job, Ethan?"
Well, first of all, I don't think I had enough responsibility. Like, it was something that was like a little. It felt like I was a nuisance. It was just like, oh, like they didn't really have stuff for me to do. I wasn't really being shown how to do things, or being taught how to do things, or given real world experience. It just kind of felt like, I was along for the ride. Could it have been a great experience? Yes. But my point being is that even though I didn't know if I would like it, by knowing that I didn't like it still provided clarity on what I do like. And so that would be my advice to people coming out of college, that even if you get offered a job that doesn't check every box and what you want to do, that's totally fine, because at the end of the day, you'll learn what you like and what you don't like, and that'll help you, whether you're going from an internship to a job, or whether you're going from your first job to your second job, so on and so forth. I just think that if you're able to lock in on what you like and don't like, and you might think you know what you like, and then you do it in the real world and you don't like it, and whatever happens, that'll provide clarity for what you want to do and how to set the blueprint for how to achieve where you want to go.
Great story, great advice. And you know what? I was thinking back to some internships I had right in the day, which is a long time ago, Ethan. And I remember I had 2 radios and 1 TV. And I remember the one radio, I did not like it. And you know why I didn't like it? Because the office was quiet.
Right.
Everybody would come in and do their work, and it was quiet. I don't know if you've met me, but I am not quiet, right? I enjoy laughing and interacting with people. And that was to your great point, that was a learning experience about what I did not like, what environment I didn't like. And that even I doubled down going into sports, because it's lively. It's more,
right.
Camaraderie and engaging.
Every day is different, like, and
exactly.
stuff like that.
So wait a minute. So you've triggered a memory. Can I just share a memory with you?
I'm all ears.
All right. And then we'll go into the Superbowl. Okay. Hold on, Ethan. The memory is this, because I comedy, and it triggered a memory when I was in college, a freshman in college, after fall ball baseball one afternoon in this little on-campus pub they had. It was a talent night, or what do they call, when you go up there and you
like a talent show?
Yeah. Open mic open mic.
Wait.
So I signed up my buddy and I to do a comic routine. We did not prepare. So we didn't do anything beforehand. We were just going to go up and tell the jokes that we told in the dugout or in the dorm room, and hopefully they flew right in the crowd. So we went up there. I'll never forget this. He had Mark. His name was Mark. Great guy. I had the mic. He had his mic. We did play off one another very well. Ethan, I got no response to any of the jokes. I would just let something fly. I remember we were doing things on sitcoms and like imitating characters on sitcoms. I remember looking into the sea, and they were looking at us as if they were like in a courtroom watching a trial or something. Their faces were serious, the exact opposite of what we wanted. It was absolutely, I'll never forget it. But the good thing was that we had the courage to do it, just to go up there and just start letting it wing.
Well, that's a learning lesson. And that's another thing, is like, whether it's to really bring it back, whether it's open mic night, whether it's internships out of college or jobs, or whether it's goal setting, you just it's trial and error, and you gotta learn, and you gotta take the silver lining. So in your case, maybe comedy wasn't in the wasn't in the future. Dad jokes very much in the future, but but
Right.
but
No, very
maybe
true.
comedy not in the future. And then if it provided clarity, but the silver lining is that you had the courage to go up there and not get a response, because let me tell you that could break some people, Gargs.
All right, let's talk. Since you do football for a living, and I did it for many, many years as a living, Ethan, let's
Yep,
talk about this. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So I don't know what the point spread is right now. Let's not even talk about that. But what do you think right now going into the game? When I say Chiefs, Eagles,
Yeah.
not about who's going to win and all that, just what is your feeling for the game? When you sit down and watch that game, what do you want to see?
Well, the cop out answer is like you want to see a good game,
Fair.
because, but really, the Chiefs are innocent until proven guilty, in terms of like they're the champs until they're dethroned. And it was Niners, Eagles, Niners. Now it's back to the Eagles as their opponent. So like obviously you would imagine redemption is on the mind of Philadelphia. And I think that as long as you see a good game, I think most fans will be happy. And obviously there are Eagles fans are diehard, Chiefs fans are also, but then there's a section of Northeast humans, and also probably across the country, that despise Philadelphia. And then there's another group of people that despise dynasties, which is what's transpiring in Kansas City. So to me, as long as you see a good game, I think people will be generally happy, no matter what the result is. But I'd like to see a competitive game, because if not for nothing, the Super Bowl at its core is the best teams from both conferences. So I think that what the NFL would want, and what you would want if you were a fan, is to see the best from the NFC, the best from the AFC, and showcase why each team is the best, is the representative from their conference. And sure, that's a little bit of a cop out, but I think some people also want to see chaos. Where I was just watching highlights from the Falcons Patriots Super Bowl, the 28-3 comeback, and like that was chaos. But it was also a horrible game until the Patriots started making a comeback. So, that could have been just like one of the worst Super Bowls in history. Obviously, it's not one of the greatest. But, I think as long as you see a competitive game, for the most part, people will be happy.
Okay, so that begs the question. Let's ask about this because they're very evenly matched teams. Let's look at this. Why? And I'm gonna pretend like I'm from another planet and I'm coming down and I don't know anything, and you're the expert right now. Why does Kansas City keep showing up in the Super Bowl? Number two, how did Philadelphia rebound from having that, collapse last year after
Right.
starting the season so strongly? Why are they back in the Super Bowl? And they won one, not that long ago. Why are they back in the Super Bowl having rebounded from a setback last year? What are those reasons in your mind to those two questions?
Well, I think with Kansas City, like the synergy is incredible. That's a team that's been together for a long time. Obviously, you know, if you're coming from a different planet, like the quarterback is incredible. Okay. Like he's one of the greatest of all time. I think you could already put him in that conversation for sure. And the talent's incredible. The synergy is incredible. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone knows what their role is, what they need to do. And when you watch the Chiefs operate, at least when I do on offense, like everyone knows exactly what they need to do. When it's 2nd and 4 and you catch a ball 2 yard, like a yard short of the first down, instead of dancing around and trying to get 4 more yards, you stick your foot in the ground, you turn upfield, and you have a first down. Then you have a new set of downs. So to me, that's part of the equation. Another part of the equation is that the coaching and the situational football, which goes back to the synergy, is also incredible. Where the Chiefs know exactly what they need to do, when they need to do it, how to do it, and there's no questions in that aspect. The most impressive part is that I feel like the defense has done a total 180 from a couple of years ago. It used to be the Chiefs offense was the star of the show. And while, yes, the recognition is all there with Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes and whatnot, the defense is one of the best in the NFL at this point. And so, it's interesting to see just how their identity has shifted and really like came to life on defense over the past couple of years. But that's what makes Kansas City like a machine, for lack of a better word. Everyone knows what they need to do, their role in the cog, and they get after it. And if you provide them opportunities late, and enough opportunities, they're going to capitalize on them. For the Eagles, I think, part of the rebound, you could point to Saquon Barkley. That's the obvious answer. But I just kind of think that the Eagles had a little bit of a down year. Maybe they were dealing with injuries and, that we don't really know about. But the Eagles have one of the best offensive and defensive lines in the NFL. And if you have good offensive and defensive lines, you're going to be in most games. And then you look at the Eagles defense, because the Eagles offense minus Saquon Barkley is mostly the same. On defense, they drafted really well with 2 corners. The resurgence of Zach Bond, who was an all-pro this year. He was essentially like a reserve player for the Saints, a couple of years ago. Like that's an incredible story. And I think that, when you look at the Eagles defense playing at the level in which they do, it's 1 talent, 2 scheme. Like Vic Fangio's now the defensive coordinator. To me, that's another team that's been together a long time. And both teams have veteran leadership. They know what they need to do in crunch time. They know how to do it. And, I think really the biggest difference between the 2 teams that the Chiefs have done it longer in terms of sustained success. Even though the Eagles have been very successful, the Chiefs have been a little higher on the mountaintop, each of the last 4 seasons, obviously. And what the Chiefs are doing is really unheard of in the NFL. But to me, the Eagles aren't far behind. Like, they're consistently good. We'll see what happens, in a couple days here. But I'm excited to see the game play out.
Now, Ethan, what's an ideal setup for you watching the Super Bowl? Are you one of those folks that has to watch it, listen to the audio, watch the commercials, don't bother me? Yes. Or are you, let's have a beer, I watch it out of the corner of my eye kind of guy?
No, absolutely not. Okay. Absolutely not. I am 100% the former. If there's too many cooks in the kitchen in terms of viewing the game and there's a lot of chatter, I don't want that for the Super Bowl. Like, I want to hear what the announcers have to say. I want to hear what the commercials are. I want to hear the punchlines. I want to see pretty much everything.
And lastly here, before we let you go, Ethan, and get ready for that Super Bowl party, snacks and drinks, like what is driving your consumption on that day?
Great question. I can tell you that it is not the Garg salad, for sure. It's probably something a little more calorically dense. And I would want a mozzarella stick. I would want some pigs in a blanket. I would need some buffalo chicken dip. And other than that, I'm pretty much, I could go wherever. But there's no rabbit food, Gargs, okay?
You mean you're accusing me because of my California background of eating salads and rabbit food? Yes,
well,
part of that is true.
It's not a California background. It's only what I saw you consume at the facility for a solid 8 years.
Yes, very true.
Which was every day was a delicious salad with some delicious dressing.
Yes, I plead guilty. Ethan, you've been a guest before. You'll be a guest again. You were a guest today. Thank you very, very much. This has been great. Thank you to Ethan for coming on KTLM Extras. And I hope you enjoy your weekend, everybody, watching the Super Bowl or doing whatever it is that you do to relax, unwind, and enjoy that weekend. We'll see you Tuesday for another great conversation on Keep the Line Moving. Thank you for being part of our shows. Give us a like, subscribe, whatever it is. Forward it to your friends, family, and coworkers. You know we appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Keep the Line Moving. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave a review. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Most importantly, share this podcast with your friends, family, and coworkers. It means the world to us. If you have a guest recommendation, visit our website at garganoleadership.com, where you'll also find all our archived episodes. For our marketing coordinator and the producer of this podcast, Savin Narwhal, I'm Chris Gargano. Have a fantastic week, everybody.